Welcome back to Joel's Sports Cards. Today I have a PSA, not talking grading. It's a public service announcement that the audio in this interview with Luke from Up North Collectors does not reach the standard from my end that I would hope to be able to present to you. And Luke gave so many nuggets of wisdoms from his 18 years of living that the show must go on. The video needed to be published. I just wanted you to know that if this is your first time at Joel's Sports Cards, welcome. We're so glad you're here, and you can expect higher levels of audio in the future, and you can continue for me to strive to be your favorite sports cards YouTube's channel's favorite sports card YouTube channel. And with that, you know there's got to be giveaways going on, and we have one. Go back to our 550 sub giveaway. There's a chance to win some sealed wax. Like, comment, and please, you have to be a subscriber in order to win that, and I would love for you to continue to subscribe so you can hear more of these interviews with conversations in the content community with the card creators themselves. We so appreciate your time. Enjoy the video. Welcome back to Joel's Sports Cards. Today we have an installment in our 5C series. We have one of the two people on Up North Collectors YouTube channel, Luke. Luke, say hi to the people.
How's it going, everyone?
Not only is Luke a YouTuber, he's a graduate of a high school and a now private licensed business owner. We're going to hear the whole story of going from YouTube to brick and mortar. But let's start from the original section of your Up North Collectors channel. If you haven't heard of it, please go and subscribe to their great content and tell us, Luke, how that started between you and your dad, the other half of the duo.
Yeah, so me and my dad have been collecting since we started collecting in like 2013. My dad's been collecting since the 80s, took a break for a while. I got into it in 2008. I got a pack of cards, 2008 Topps football, every week for chores. So I do chores around the house at 4 years old, get to rip a pack of football, and we built a set together. So that's really what got me into it. I'd buy cards basically ever since then. And then in 2013, we got pretty big into buying football cards specifically, and started really watching a lot of YouTube videos. I feel like at this point, everyone does watch card YouTube videos. It's fun. And back in the day, it was like Packer cards, middle SC sports cards, cards infinity breaks. I mean, this is before there's like 10 guys opening cards on YouTube back then. It really, and that's an exaggeration, but there really aren't many people ripping cards back then. And so at that point, we just thought, hey, you know what would be fun is if we got a little setup and just started doing this. We can keep those memories for ourselves and, share with the public. And maybe at some point we'll have 100 people that watch us. And that would be, really fun. So we started doing that. Don't go back and watch our first few videos. They're terrible.
You gotta. Now that you say that, people are gonna now watch them. It's always
yeah,
happens.
Of course. They're going to go, dig way back for them. And then, we just kept going at it and it was fun. We started to gain subscribers, and that's not why we do it at all, is for the following, not even close. It's just something that we've always had fun. It's a hobby. It's a way that we get to spend time with each other, which makes it, really, really fun. And so that's kind of what got us into the whole YouTube thing. And then it just kept growing, and we've continued to have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, if I had a child, I would want so deeply to rip packs with them. I can only imagine how much joy this brings your dad.
Yeah, it's so much fun for both of us. I mean, we have so many cool memories, and now we can go back and watch all of those memories again, relive them, which is awesome. I mean, we can be like, oh, remember when we pulled that card back in, whatever it was, 2016 on YouTube, and we can go back and watch the video and watch the moment where we pulled it and our reaction and stuff. So it's really cool to have some of those memories saved too.
For sure. Like, families put all that time into scrapbooking and making it all nice. You have it just bada bing, bada boom on the internet machine right there for you to just remember those moments. So you're building that. Okay. You're now like in middle schoolish when that's starting, and high school you're growing in. Is that right?
Yeah. So we did it. I think we probably started, I was like 12 when we started. So my voice is a little different if you go back and watch some of those original videos. It's like 2017, so 5-ish years ago. And we started back then. And then through middle school and high school, continued to make videos. So come home from practice at night or in the morning, we'd film a video so that we could post it, later in the day, the next day, or whatever it might be, film a couple on the weekend for throughout the week. And so that was going through high school there.
So at what point do you say, I'm actually interested in building this more as I graduate high school and move on in the next season of my life?
Um, it really there wasn't really one specific moment with cards necessarily. I got into business right as COVID happened, and I didn't per se lose my job, but I worked at a country club in the summer, and knew I probably wasn't gonna be able to work there that summer just because of COVID, and so went and basically built a lawn care business and had my little own lawn care business, and that kind of escalated everything from there, and eventually that led into selling sports cards online and having an eBay store and selling stuff on there. And as that started to grow, I'm like, man, I could actually do this and, make something happen with this. And I've always wanted to. I mean, yeah, my dream has always kind of been to open a card shop ever since I was a little kid going into them. I mean, who wouldn't want to have one? And so then once it became, through high school, through the last 2 years of high school, it became more of a reality of, oh, the numbers are there. I could actually make something happen here.
I love that you went from the original young boy side hustle of mowing lawns to just cards 2022. So it's starting to become in your mind like actually obtainable. Like, what are the first steps as you're in the process of saying, I want to own my own card shop? Like, how do you start the gears in motion?
I think, well, it's hard. It's having, I guess, the numbers to support it is the first step. I mean, if you can't financially support it, then it's not really going to make any sense, because it is you are going out on a you're taking a pretty big financial risk doing it, because it is not cheap. There's a lot of inventory involved. There's leases, there's insurance, there's a lot of upkeep to it. Whenever you have any type of brick and mortar retail business. And so I guess the first kind of step for me was to find a building, which is definitely a challenge to find something that would work. And then from there on, it's figuring out everything else. I'm brand new to this. So, figuring out lease paperwork. Then there's an added element for me because I was doing this before I was 18. So trying to, sign things and sign for things and sell on eBay before you're 18 years old and doing it gets really complicated really quickly. But it's kind of just getting through all the legal stuff first. And once that stuff's done, the rest is pretty easy. But it's that first few steps that are probably the hardest.
Yeah, it's just the legal stuff that's tough. It's just paperwork, all that. In it, are you like bouncing ideas off your dad? Are you like, is he like, this is you, son? You got to figure this out. Like, what's the dynamic there?
Yeah. So the business side of this, so the business side is mine. It is my business, and my dad has been a huge help in it. And I would have never even thought about doing any of this without my dad. So huge shout out to him. But every day I still text him every day, like, hey, the pre-order's out for X product. How much of this do you think I'll sell in my store? Like, how much should I get? What do you think about this? And so it's constantly, and then building the shop too. It's like, okay, well, if we walked into a shop, what would we look for? And we're going into a shop on vacation or whatever it might've been. So it was constantly bouncing ideas back on him. If you go back and look at our call history, I've probably talked to him more this year, like over the phone and over text, and probably in person than I ever had before this, just because of this one endeavor and trying to figure out how to build it.
Again, like a dad's dream to just get a phone call from his son about something that they both care about. It's just so cool. So in it, you're okay. I have the dream. This is what I'm going to do. I'm starting to figure out building lease. I'm taking the leap. I'm in it. What is it like as you're actually putting a store together? The shelves, the painting, all of these different things. Tell us about that process.
It's really cool. It's really fun to kind of see things like when you can watch some of we have, I put out a video series on it as well that you guys can go check out. But when I'm doing it and watching, the things slowly develop, it takes a lot of time. And, to be able to put in X amount of things, then put up your shelving and find showcases, then bring the showcases in. And it takes a lot of time without, my parents helping me, both my mom, my dad, and then both of my siblings, both of my sisters helped out a lot too. And as you're building that, it's really cool to watch it turn into a building that's been vacant for 10 years to a store that, hundreds of people a week are coming into. It is really something very cool to see. And it's kind of crazy. I never really thought it would have looked like it would when it started. I didn't really know how it would look. And then as you go, we just kind of figured it out. And I think it ended up turning out pretty cool, and I'm really happy with it. But it definitely is a process to get through it.
Yeah, and that's hundreds of people in Manistee, Michigan, not Detroit, Michigan, not Chicago, Illinois. Like, that's incredible foot traffic in a space that you really had to create the buzz. Do you feel like
what's the connection between your YouTube channel and the people that were walking into your store in the early stages? Did a lot of people know you because of Up North Collectors, or was it I saw a card shop and oh, they also have a YouTube channel?
I would say it's probably like 75-25 that people don't have any clue that we have a YouTube channel. So a lot of my customers are just locals, local people, great people from the local area. Some drive from an hour each direction to come, into the store, which is really cool. But then there's another group that's more, I would consider it more of like the tourist category, which is we're in a very touristy area. But it's these people that, maybe they have parents that live in Manistee, or they have parents that live in Traverse City, or, parents in a surrounding area, or whoever, they're out visiting family. They watch our YouTube channel and they're going to make the hour drive, to come visit. So definitely a lot of that as well. But I'd say a lot of it's local traffic. And a lot of them now are watching YouTube videos that we put out, but didn't necessarily know about it beforehand.
For sure. I'm part of the touristy group. For those that don't know, I live in Minnesota, but I had a wedding in Manistee, Michigan, and there was the rehearsal. I was a groomsman. And between the rehearsal dinner and the rehearsal, I had a couple of minutes, and literally the dinner restaurant was under 3 minutes away from the shop. I was like, I got to come in and say hi. And that's when Luke and I got to meet for the first time. So I've experienced the shop, highly recommend going there. And the shop that I experienced is not long for this world because of the success that you've had, Luke. You outgrew it how quickly?
Really quickly, faster probably than I wanted to be honest with you, because
2 months?
yeah, basically it was like 2.5 months. And it's partly outgrowing. It's partly just future planning. The location that I'm in currently is not as, and you've been here too, it's off the beaten path a little bit. You really do have to kind of seek it out to find it. It's close to the main drag. It's close to everything, but it's not on the main drag. And so there's an opportunity, a building popped up. And so I just took a jump at it, took that opportunity when I had it. And so I'll be moving to downtown Manistee here in January, roughly.
You're going to make the move in the middle of winter?
Yes, a winter move.
What scares you? You have no fear in this endeavor. Whatever obstacle, you're going to overcome it. So how do you feel about, you literally watch the video, if you haven't, those that are watching, the work of putting the shelves in and the figuring and the configuring? Is that all just kind of like for just this season, or do you have any idea how that's going to be of purpose going forward?
Yeah, that's a good question. Most of it, I think, is just going to be for, this, the 5 months that we're in the store, which is fine. It's, again, I was kind of hoping to be here for a year, but it's good. It's a good problem to have, to outgrow a space. So it's just, kind of, we're going to get to go through the process again, probably a little sooner than, me and my family wanted to, but we're going to do it again. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited for the new place. It's a lot bigger. But that work it's just part of the game. It's just part of how it goes. And so it's definitely, it gets you started. It got me my start, and that's all that matters.
For sure. Are you learning anything from the current setup that you're going to implement in the new one, from just set like entry points or just what you need certain places? Any lessons you've learned?
Yeah. So one thing that I would say is, so right now I have supplies right by the door. And I will keep that as close to I can in the new store, because people will walk out every time, and all of a sudden I hear the door open back up and they come back in to grab top loaders or sleeves. Like, oh, I forgot those, and they'll come right back in. So that works out nice. The other thing is like open space, open seating where people can sit and have like kind of a community area, whether to bring stuff into trade with other customers that are in there. They have stuff with them, so I want to take a look. They want to open up packs and they want to be close to staff or close to other customers. So having like a sort of communal seating area. Right now I have a little bit of seating, but it's kind of off in the corner. You're out of the way a little bit. It's not as attractive per se. So that's something I want to implement too. And then the other part of the new place will just be a lot more wall space to hang up memorabilia and some cool pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. You have like a stools and kind of a little bar. You did a great job with it, but to imagine actual kind of openness for that hanging out community rip and pack space, that's going to be awesome. So in it, what's your hope long-term for your career, for the shop? Are you going a certain direction, or is it, hey, I'm just kind of taking each individual step as I can and rolling with what happens?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, I have a pretty set idea of, how I want things to look and how I want it to go over the next few years. I want to make the shop a place that people want to come travel to, like they want to travel to Manistee just to come to the card shop. Which is something like Ryan Card Collector 2 has a shop that people travel to just to go see it. And that's something that I would love to, kind of emulate after a shop like his, where a place that people would like to travel to and, come and visit, but also a place where I can host. It's big enough where I'll be able to have events like trade nights, and there's a couple of spots potentially where we can have host card shows down the road in Manistee. So some ideas like that. Then just kind of continuing to grow the business to be a place that's kind of one of the more staple downtown stores here in Manistee. I'd love eventually to expand and open up a second location somewhere, but that's a long way off. And that's a lot more work and another headache in itself. So for now, that's kind of the plan, is just to, continue growing what I've got going on and just kind of see where it takes me.
I love the big thoughts. If you were to break percentage wise of your time and your devotion to the YouTube channel and to the card store, where are you kind of putting that percentage? Is it more one, or is it pretty 50-50?
It's well, that's a good. So, are you asking in terms of like time there, like time
Yeah.
spent, or
Yeah. Time, focus. Are you trying to grow one more than the other?
good question? Yep. So, in terms of growth, the idea is to grow each at the same pace, where you can have. I mean, ideally, I'd love the YouTube channel to grow faster, but it's one where you want your YouTube channel to grow at a pretty decent pace, and you can do that by also growing your card shop and reach at the same time. So it kind of is interchangeable. I'd say right now there's more focus for me, at least, on the card shop, just because I'm here 70 hours a week. It's a lot of time spent here. It's a lot of time and effort to try to grow a business like this. So, and then we have the move coming up. So those couple of things are going to definitely take some focus away from YouTube, but still, trying to put out daily content, make interesting videos for everyone over there. And you have to have interesting content for people to want to watch. So it's just one of those things where it's, kind of a split focus.
Totally. That makes a lot of sense. How do you stay positive in the fact that this isn't just a hobby for you? This is now multiple forms of work. I know for me, it's just a hobby, right? So when the stuff gets like wonky and I don't want to deal with it, I can step away and not feel any pressure. But you have these consistent points of you're engaging in work. How do you stay mentally positive in the hobby that has now become work?
That's a good question. And honestly, a lot of it is a couple of things. I mean, there's some stuff that when you're owning a card shop is not fun. But there's other things that are really fun, like watching people open up boxes in your store. It's hard not to be having fun when people are ripping stuff right in front of you and you get to watch. And then the other thing is watching the collections and cards that come through your front door that people are bringing in to either sell you or trade you or just to show you. I mean, I've seen some stuff that I would have never thought I would have seen before this, and that's brought me a ton of, it keeps me very, very positive, because you just never know what's going to happen. It's always a wild card, as to what's going to happen that day, what's going to walk into your store. So I'd say that's kind of part of it too, and then just having fun with it. I mean, if you take something too seriously, it's not going to be fun, and if you make your career not fun, I don't really see much point in that. So it's a lot more fun just to have fun with it and kind of see where it takes you.
That's a really awesome perspective to have, Luke. I know that part of this is I'm trying to put people that have different lanes in the hobby in front to have conversations. So somebody might be listening to this and saying, "Hey, I've thought about owning a card shop, starting a card shop." What would be a couple of things you would suggest someone who's thinking about taking the leap that you did? What would you suggest they think about and are aware of? Maybe the challenges, the things you wish you would have put more energy and effort into when you started?
Um, that's a great question. So three things that I would say is, if you want your card shop to do really well, you always have to be buying. You always have to be willing to intake inventory from your local customers, because 90% of the time those people are going to come back that same day or a couple of days later and spend that money right back with you. And it keeps the sort of churn going. So you always have to be willing to buy, which is something that I didn't necessarily plan on at first, but it is. It's just the reality. Another thing of that too is that, in terms of like selling boxes, at first, probably the first 2 years, at least the first year, you're not going to make hardly anything selling sealed product in your store. It's just something that it's a misconception. We're like, hey, I can jump into this. I'll get allocation from distribution the first couple of months, and I'll make thousands of dollars off of selling sealed boxes. It's not going to happen that way. And with Fanatics taking over, I really don't know what's going to happen. I don't think most people do. So that's another thing I would say. A third thing is just be aware that it's not easy just because it's fun, it's cards. There's a lot of back end time, back end work, back end sorting, back end shipping, all of that kind of stuff that you have to do. And then one more thing that I would add is you cannot, I think it would be very hard unless you're in an extremely high traffic area to sustain a card shop on just in-store sales and just making sales in store. You also have to be willing to sell online and put in the time to sell online. So that's something that I would keep in mind too.
Dude, you are a wealth of knowledge far beyond your years. I'm sure I'm not the only person that said that. Luke, thank you so much for your time. All of the hope and success to you in your future endeavors. I'm excited to be able to keep following Up North Collectors. Please go engage in their content online and make it a destination for you. Beautiful area that you can go, Manistee, Michigan. Luke, any final things you want to say to the people listening here?
I want to say thank you for having me on. It was an honor talking to you. I had a lot of fun. Would love to come back at some point. And for your viewers, make sure to keep watching. All of your videos you put out, I've spent a lot of time over the past month or two watching them. And I really, really enjoyed some of the interviews you've done. So keep up the great work on your channel. And I guess just stay tuned to our channel as well to kind of see the future of the card shop and what's going on with there, and then all the new products and all the other stuff we do on there too. So, just kind of stay tuned.
When you're the president of Fanatics, Luke, just remember me. That's all I have to ask. Until next time, y'all, keep ripping. Peace.